Neither did I.
I'm gonna post something today.
All right, all right. So we're live right now. I want to say thank you for tuning in today. It's going to be a hot show today. Today is Sunday, Saturn. So take that to the bank and check it out. So look, we're talking about a couple of things today. One in particular is that we're talking about is Freemasonry, the working tool of Christianity. So welcome to Sunday show. I'm yours truly. Greetings, everybody who's about to come on. We're just going to get right into this in just a little while. I'm waiting on my caller, Brother Darnell Stevens from Houston, Texas. He got something he needs to say. So I want to see what he has to say in regards to this, because my question is this: is Freemasonry the working tools of Christianity? Now, if you are a Mason, a member of the Order of the Eastern Star, we all know that the Holy Bible, the square and compass, is right there. We know that the Bible is open on the altar of all of the Masonic lodges. But why? Was it there in the beginning? So we're going to really have this conversation in regards to if Freemasonry, the working tools of Christianity. Now, we can say that the Order of the Eastern Star, we can say that it has a lot of Christianity in it. We know that. We understand its founder. He was from Mississippi, originally Mississippi, as a matter of fact. The Order of the Eastern Star was organized and founded in 1873. We got all of this. But yeah, we're going to talk about you Masons and how Christianity plays a vital part in the Freemasons. So hey, is it true? Is it true? So this is what it gonna get down today. So hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Look, I know that you can't wait till the Super Bowl begins. I know you yeah, but it's not going. It's going to be the Super Bowl, but it's not going to be like we usually find it. It's not going to be that type of interaction. But hey, so look. Give me just a second here. I hope everybody is doing well. Good evening, everybody who's coming in. I appreciate you coming in on this day. It's going to be interesting. I got something I want to share. Definitely, if you are a Freemason, I believe that every Freemason, when he travels, he should have something that distinguishes him from everybody else. We just got these in. So if you're interested in this beautiful Masonic passport, if you're interested and you are what you say you are a Freemason, you're going to have to, if you want one of these, you're going to have to hit me up. You're going to have to hit me up, and we're going to tell you how to do that tonight. Today, before we leave, we're going to tell you how to do that. I think you're going to really like this here. This gift from us to those of you who watch the show all the time. It's a beautiful gift to you. And this is how we say we thank those who tune in and watch the show, being a member of the fraternity of Freemason. This is how we say thank you. So definitely we're going to try to get this out and we want you to have one. So this is our gift to you. And I'll make sure I sign it. Now, if you don't want me to sign it, you won't be getting it. Period. If you don't want me to sign it, you ain't going to get it. I'm just going to let you know. That's just how we do it here. But anyway, so look, I'm going to see what's going on with my caller, see if he's going to be able to come on in today. How's everybody doing? Let me see. You got that countryness coming out of me real quick. I'm enlightened, CRISPR. Okay. Damn, I'm enlightened. How you doing today? Good morning, Craft from Mississippi. Hey, what part of Mississippi you from now, my brother? What part of Mississippi you from? Is that Toledo? I don't know. I mean, what part of Mississippi you're from? That's home right there, baby. That's home. You got to talk to me on that. What part of Mississippi you from? That's all I need to know. What part? Yeah. Talk back to me. For real. Yeah, zoo. Man, look, I was just in Mississippi a couple of weeks ago, right down there in Canton, Mississippi. You know where that's at, right? You got to know where Canton is at. Yeah, I was up in Canton. I drove on through Madison, hung out for a little while. Hey, question for you. Did they ever close down the Metro Center? You know where that's at, right? Did they ever close that down? Let me know. Yes, sir. Yeah, did they? Is that a yes, sir, brother? They closed down the Metro Center? Is that a yes, sir, brother? I know where Canton is at. You know? Yeah, please hit the like button today because this is going to be an interesting conversation. I'm just waiting for more people to come on up in the show today, and we're gonna get into this. Like it's gonna be like fire because I have someone that says that Freemasonry is the working tool of Christianity, and I don't agree with it. So we're gonna have this conversation today. So let me catch him right now.
Brother man.
Hey, go ahead and give me a call at that number I hit you with.
Okay.
All right, later. Yeah, we're about to have this conversation. I think this is one of them things that people don't like to talk about, but today we're gonna talk about it. All right, baby, you take care. You wanna come give me a kiss here? Why is it? Yes, indeed. Hold on just a second. Hey, bro, man. All right. Now, see, the other day we was pretty hot. We was talking the other day when we was on. I think that was Friday. You was on, and and you brought up the subject: is Freemasonry the working tools? Is Christianity the working tools of Freemasonry? That's what you said.
Right.
And I disagree with you.
Okay.
So let's have this conversation because now I'm gonna tell you this. When it comes to the Order of the Eastern Star, I will tell you, yes, that part of the craft is saturated. It is all up in. But I can also say the same thing about you could take those 5 females and apply them to other cultures. But let's deal with Christianity. We'll go there later. Talk to me.
Well, just to start out, I believe it's in Galatians 4:26, where he makes reference to Abraham and Sarah being allegories to tell the bigger story. You know what I mean? And so when we break that down from the perspective of Freemasonry, we have to accept that our 2 enemies are ignorance and superstition. Allegory is a superstition. Therefore, if we apply that rhetoric, that would mean that there's no way that we could take a philosophical holy book and hold it as sacred or anything of that nature, Masonically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's it. I mean, is that it? Is you going to say because of Galatians that Freemasonry is the working tools of Christianity?
Yeah, I'd say it would have to be that. It couldn't be anything more.
Well, I look at Freemasonry as not being a working tool of Christianity, but being a working tool to help. I don't want to use the cliche, help a good man become better, but to teach a man to be better.
I agree, and that's why I see Christianity as a working tool and nothing more. Because
that's Christianity is their working tool, but I don't see Freemasonry as being that working tool.
If you apply Christianity literal, you couldn't even be in the lodge. Think about it.
You said if I apply Christianity literally,
if a man or a woman, well, if a man took Christianity literal, they could not be in the lodge because that book says no man can serve 2 masters. So how could you have a worshipful master and have Jesus as your master?
Because the term worshipful master or the term master is an old English word which means judge.
I agree, but a fundamentalist is not going to play that game.
Well, fundamentalists need to understand the root word for worshipful master because the terms that we use are not necessarily these same terms that you will find in today's vocabulary. I mean, you know, the vocabulary and all is not there.
I agree. And that's why I say from from foundational perspective, then it's like, I'll use myself as an example. When I first got raised, I had I'm trying to think. I got raised after I had became a Christian.
Oh.
So after the people in my church found out that I was a Mason, a few of the guys came and they started hitting me with these different Bible verses. And me being me, I did my due diligence and I actually demitted from the lodge for a year.
For a whole year?
A whole year, just to study. And I studied Christianity, I studied Masonry, and I put both together, and that's when I realized, I said, Freemasonry don't even look at Christianity as a religion. When we submit our application and they telling us to, go look at First Kings and all this other Second Kings or whatever, they're not telling us to do that for religious purposes. They're telling us to do that for refining purposes. So if you really think about it, just from that perspective alone, Freemasonry uses Christianity as sort of a grinding stone or a set of glasses for perspective. You know what I'm saying? Nobody ain't looking at, like, you ain't using that to be a sharper deacon, nothing like that. That's not what that's for.
Well, hold on. Let's bag it up. You said that you're not using that to be a better deacon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a better elder or a better pastor. But when you back that up and you look at it, some can actually take and go that route. But I would tell you,
I agree. If you do that, that's wonderful. If you could be ambidextrous with the craft, as we should be anyway, that's great. But it's not the objective of the craft to engage in any type of religion from a fundamental perspective. Because let's be honest, if your lodge is set up right, there should be a bunch of holy books under that altar.
But why? But my thing is this: I don't believe that the working tools of Freemasonry is Christianity. I believe the working tools of Freemasonry is simply to help a man understand symbols through language to better his life. And I say that.
I agree. And Christianity supplies a ton of those symbols and things of those natures. Tons of them.
But why do you think that the Bible is there then?
The Bible is there because it's a great tool.
Should it be there?
What's that?
Should it be there? Should the Bible be placed on the altar of Freemasonry?
Should be there that are not. The emerald tablets could be under there.
Right.
The
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita could be up under there. Legitimately.
But why the Bible? The question is Christianity the working tool of Freemasonry? So why is the Bible placed there? Why not do like the French do? Just remove the Bible. Just say, okay, good. It was there. We're going to take it down. Boom. We only got the compass and square there. With that,
right. Now this is where you have to look at foundations and practice. And when you look at it from the perspective of foundations and practice, you have to use history. And historically in America, the men who practice Freemasonry, their working tool that they used for philosophical sharpening was Christianity. Now, some took it further. There are lodges who do the same thing that we do with Christianity. They do it with Islam.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just think that the more I look into Freemasonry, the more I read, the more I study, I'm becoming to a place that what we know about Freemasonry in America is incorrect. With the placement of the Bible on the altar, with just some of the things that we practice in America tells you, in my opinion, when I say that Freemasonry is the working tool of Christianity is there because of America. But the essence of Freemasonry, it was never meant for the Bible to be placed on the altar. I believe that it was never meant.
Absolutely not.
For,
I don't know. It couldn't have been. Not when you look at when you understand the universal
language
of Freemasonry.
Okay.
Then there's no way that the Bible was supposed to be there. Of course not. That was a practice that was established by a certain group of people.
No, don't say a certain group of people. Just say it. This is that show. You don't have to hide behind and say, well, a certain group of people. No, you say that. Say that.
Right, because I see what you're saying, because when we do our due diligence and we pull back and we do our forensic science of the craft, we see the pharaohs, we see them dressed as Masons. We see that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's no way they had a Bible on their altar. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
There's no way. It didn't exist.
Hey, Brother Morpheus, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Brother Morpheus. Thank you for all of your contributions. I really, really do. Thank you. As a matter of fact, Brother Morpheus, why don't you email me your address? Email me your address. I may already have it, but definitely email me your address. Email me at jgj@yahoo.com. I appreciate it. Go ahead. No. I cut you off and I apologize, and you were saying something.
Oh, we were talking about the Egyptians dressed as Masons and how there's no way that they could have used a Bible on their altar. You know, did they have the book of Thoth on their altar? What did they have? We don't know. We can speculate.
Well, that's just like saying,
we can all guarantee 100% that there was no Bible there.
Well, that's just like saying, okay, what Bible did Jesus read? What book was he reading?
Well, it says what he was reading. And when you look at who he was in the scene. So they wasn't reading no Bible. They were observing basically Egyptian principles. So whatever the Egyptians had on their altar, that's what he was reading. That's why he was able to perform the magic and all, the same with Moses and all these other people. If they were real, think about it. These people, they were able to do everything that the Egyptians were able to do. So obviously there was some universal point of knowledge that everybody was able to go and perform magic and thrive. Because think about it, in Exodus, God didn't see nothing wrong with them having a magic battle. You see what I'm saying?
One brother just put the Torah was written in Egypt. What's your thoughts?
I will say it was copied. You know what I'm saying? Because everything, when we talking about holy books and things from that nature, we're talking about pure plagiarism. Because when you start getting into Jews and all this other stuff, it gets pretty interesting. I think it was called Operation Solomon, where some rabbi went pretty hard and he was doing some research on Aaronic bloodlines and all this kind of stuff. And he shook a hornet's nest and he did some blood work over in Ethiopia.
Oh, go ahead.
And come to find out that all them Jews had that blood. All them Ethiopians had that blood.
They had their DNA.
And so a lot of them Ethiopians was, fuck it, if y'all want to talk that shit, send me home. And so they flew all them Ethiopians to Israel. But they started shitting all on them. They was castrating. They were sterilizing the women, all kind of weird shit, bro.
Yep. They was trying to get rid of them. But they didn't take all of them. They took some. They didn't take all of them, though.
Right.
Because like you said, he shook the hornet's nest. and he found out that the real Jews, or those the real Israelites, Jews, that's, you know, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. But the real Israelites, let's put it that way,
Right.
because the Jews were never enslaved. They were never enslaved. Period.
So these holy books are designed, because let's be real. When we get into holy books, it's a form of theater.
Mm-hmm.
You have the literal version to be read, and if you read it like that, you're an extreme novice, and you will be able to be taken advantage of. But then you have the exoteric aspect of it, whereas you understand that there's different levels of etymology, different levels of understanding. You know how to use dispensationalism and all that other stuff, where you can enjoy it on a different level. But then you have the exoteric, which it was really written for. When you break all these books down, they all break down to cosmic psychology. You know what I'm saying? The Bible, you got the Helios, Biblios. It's the story of the sun. None of these things were ever designed to be taken literal. If you did, you would have to. If you took the Bible literally, you would have to realize, hey man, whoever this God is, this motherfucker crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, all jokes aside, and I know most people will hear me say that, they'd be like, man, this dude is blasphemous.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just, come on, man. You mean to tell me that, I'm supposed to believe in a God that created this humanity and was like, man, these niggas crazy. Let me flood these niggas out. You know what I'm saying? And if you can honestly say you never thought like this, you're lying to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're lying to yourself. If you can tell me you read Kings, and when those kids were making fun of Elisha, calling him bald head, and God summons bears to come out and eat these 42 kids in the Middle East. If you can use logic and put that out and think, man, they shouldn't have just been making fun of
the old man.
Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? If you can't see that there's a bigger story being told there's something wrong with you.
So is the Bible being placed on the altar? So it's just go ahead.
What'd you say?
I was saying, so with the Bible just being placed on the altar here in America and abroad in some cases, it is just that, a working tool of Freemasonry.
Right. Think about it, bro. Look at the fundamentals. It says it's a system of morality veiled in allegory. But that is the epitome of what the Bible is. The Bible is a book of morality veiled in allegory. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't get the morality of David through his actions. We get the morality of David through the symbology. You know what I'm saying? We don't get the morality of Solomon through, his actions. We get the morality through the symbology. Do you see what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
The aspects are designed for basically the inner apprentice of spirituality.
So can you do you think that you can take other books and define it the same way?
Yes, all of them. All of them are. Every holy book on this planet is allegory. There's no holy book on this planet that you can look at literally and be like, yeah, that's what's up. It'll drive you insane because it don't make sense like that.
So why do so many brothers take it literally when placing that book on the altar?
Because they wasn't raised right. Did they really die when they got knocked on the head?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question, and I know a lot of people will listen to that, and I hope every Mason listens to that and hear what the fuck I just said. Did you really die when you got knocked on your head? Because if you did, there's no way that you could have been rose again and did your first degree work and your second degree work and see the world the same when you came up out that coffin.
So you're saying that the master mason that was raised, he shouldn't see
Master
the
Mason was raised right,
hold on.
and he truly understood the allegories.
He shouldn't see the world the same way anymore.
From his entered apprentice, entered apprentice initiation, all the way through him being raised from a dead level to a living perpendicular.
Mm-hmm.
He still sees the Bible the same as he did before that process.
Mm-hmm.
Something didn't go right.
Okay. I just think that the way Freemasonry is shown today, that the true essence for which we're supposed to practice has been in those have been thrown out the window. They have been replaced with individual jurisdiction placing barriers on Freemasonry. Take, for instance, other jurisdictions says that you are this or you are that because you do it this way. You are this or you are that because you do it that way. And if Masonry is truly...
This goes back to that one word, bro. Right now we're talking about one word, and that one word is regular.
But what is regular?
What's regular to us in the lodge right now is still based on white principles.
Well, see, this is why I'm going to tell you. I'm only going to speak from my jurisdiction because I know what we do here.
We've been in the lodge with people who have already done what we talking about. Bro, the Mexicans don't give a fuck. Huh?
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Come on, bro.
No, they don't.
Come on, bro. They lodge meetings are beautiful, and I'm still jealous.
Well, don't be jealous because your Grand Master has incorporated some of the very same things. That's why I was going to say.
Right on. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, you was there just like me to see that. I was like, man, this is off the chain.
It was off the chain. It was definitely that. And that is why I would say this. The way, when you get the chance to come back to San Diego to visit, the way we will open up, you're going to be surprised. You may break out in tears.
Oh, man.
And I say that because you're going to be having the incense. You're going to be having the blessings even before you're going to be having the stage. You're going to have all of that. It's totally different than when you open and crack your ritual and just start off. We do a whole nother thing even before we open.
Right. Bro, check this out. The reality is this. Right now, society is very thirsty for what we have to offer, as far as the craft.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it. In our lodge alone, you're talking about hundreds of years of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And we are blessed and fortunate enough to have dudes who have, dove into the esoteric side of the craft.
They went scuba diving.
I mean, come on, bro.
I got you.
And I thank God for people like Brother Charles, man. We have access, to a esoteric justice league, and people are very interested in this type of knowledge. They understand that the pastors, I don't think the pastors mean no harm, bro, to a degree. I think a lot of them really believe what they saying. They don't know, bro. And
wait a minute. Time out. No, bro. They know, bro.
No. Let's do it, because I'm gonna do this at the macro level.
Okay.
Let's break it down from the top. The black church, and this gonna sound wild, bro, but it's true. The black church, bro. Do you know the black church is the last and only functional arm of antebellum slavery? Man, sit with that for a hot second.
Go ahead. I'm listening. You said set with it for a second. I'm like,
oh. Functional arm of antebellum slavery. And when we look at this from the perspective of epigenetics and all that other stuff, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I believe that, because let's be real, bro. We gotta really dig into this for real. When they get on those old pianos, bro, that's like been in them churches, bro, since the 1800s. And you from Mississippi, so you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So some of these old buildings, slaves was going up in them shits. So you can't tell me that when they hit them old slave chords that they was playing in church, you telling me that the spirit of slave niggas ain't permeating these people when they go into them places. First off, we got to clean house, bro, all the way at the vibrational level.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get rid of them slave chords. You know what I'm saying? We got to get rid. Bro. Now, if we really start playing games and getting into what's going on, a lot of it. Remember, as this being a slave arm.
Mm-hmm.
All this shit that was going on was designed to shift all the energy away from the slaves and towards the slave masters and all this shit. So we need to get into a point to where our energy that we've been sending out as far as prayer, we need to figure out how to send that back to us. Because when you start getting into the etymology, man, of prayer, it gets very interesting. Think about it. What does it mean to pray on somebody?
What? Okay, for me?
It means to take their energy and eat them. So when we pray and we send this energy out, you don't know who Jesus is.
That's because most of us have been taught to pray in Jesus' name. But when you understand prayer,
you don't know who that is. But you sending your most sacred energy out to nowhere. You don't even know who that is, bro. And you know, and think about it. That Bible that they use, it says, "Ye shall judge a tree by its fruit." Am I lying?
That's what it says.
If I can go to a church that's been in existence for the last 30 years, and 80% of that church got diabetes, they fat, you know what I'm saying? They sick. They always got their name in the prayer request list. And man, somebody lying.
Okay. Yeah.
So that means it's time to change the game up.
Man.
I mean, but these are all this stuff I'm saying, but we all thought it. And this is why, you know, I said Christianity is a working tool of Freemasonry. So we're not supposed to be taking that stuff serious. We're not supposed to be taking that stuff serious.
One brother just posted in Atlanta, they tore down a 150-year-old church to build a stadium, and they captured all the energy of all the history and culture in that building.
You see what I'm saying, man? See, that's powerful. That's powerful, bro. And see, these people understand. They understand the power of these places. You know, they understand ley lines. They understand all this stuff, bro. They understand it. We just don't, because we still operate that, bro. If you haven't spiritually detoxed, think about this. Think about this. When you let's say you're the man in high school basketball.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to college, you're gonna have to step your game up to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Because these dudes have been operating at a higher level than you. You see what I'm saying? We have to understand something, and this is some cold shit I'm about to say. As black people, ever since we came on the shores of the United States, spiritually, we've been operating as slaves.
I can't put all of us in that box.
Huh?
I can't put all of us in that box.
Of course not. But what I'm saying is, if you still going to like churches, that's what slaves did, bro. You know what I'm saying? Our ancestors did not worship like that, bro. Mm-hmm. Our ancestors, no matter if you're coming from the Native American side, the African side, we paid homage to those things that were of nature, you know, that were natural. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't paying homage to no skinny white
but we all. Oh man, you got me. That is, yeah. That's all I can say. Yeah.
So to think about it, man, and we've taken baby steps in these areas, bro. You know, you get the brothers that get locked up and they go to Islam. You got the Nation of Islam, you know, but then you got brothers who keep going. You know what I'm saying? That they got that Matt Turner spirit, bro, and they keep going. And these are where you get the guys who was on your show last time. The last show you had, I believe it was Friday.
Right.
Them the gangsters, bro. The gangsters. Them the dudes that are not scared of the ancestors. You know, they are not scared to do the rituals. They're not scared to do that stuff. But our spirituality as black people is ritualistic, bro. This is why certain things are easy for us, bro. This is why it's easy for us to complete boot camp. This is why it's easy for us to do long-ass prison terms. Because truth be told, I personally believe that deep down inside, we still crave the rituals that we do, that we did.
Well, it's in the DNA. I mean,
the shit is pretty identical to a lot of the rituals that they do over in West Africa.
It's
because I believe that we are who we are. We always going to express that shit. I mean, think about it. Right now, this is why masonry is so needed, bro. Like, Brother Yancey, I think he's still operating that program where they was taking the kids from youth and they graduate them when they're 18. We got to bring that shit back because the youngsters, they are really interested in what we own.
But here's the thing. I would say this. Yes, that needs to be brought back. But man, how do you do it though? Because the communities that we grew up in, those communities are far between. I mean, I'm not going next door to ask my neighbor for an egg no more. I'm not going next door to ask for a cup of sugar or flour. So those communities that we grew up in, and they are far in between, man. And reaching out to the youngster now, I would hope that one of them sees this video or sees the videos that I've done and reach out to a brother, a Masonic brother that will be able to guide him. I mean, because we're not able to function as we did in those communities that we don't have anymore.
Right. And see what you're talking about now, I'm going to give you an example of how Christianity is a working tool. Right now, socially, our people is dead and they stinking. Black people on some Lazarus shit. You understand? So, it's our job right now to be on our Jesus shit and go to that stinking dude and bring him back to life. You see what I'm saying? It fucked the world up. Like, damn, that nigga was dead, bro. I smelled it. I know he was dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that this shit going on is what it is. It's time to resurrect, bro. We know how to do it.
Okay. And with that being said, a person has to want to be resurrected.
I agree.
Me going and getting a brother who may be down and out, or individual who may be down and out, be it a sister or a brother, and saying, look, allow me to help you to become alive again. Some people don't want to be alive. Some people want to walk the earth as zombies.
That's true.
Yeah, Brother Yancey, what's going on?
Hey, dude. I'm sorry, I must have lost it. What time are you going on the air today?
I'm on right now.
Oh.
And your name just popped up like out of nowhere.
I tried to call in. It gave me a busy signal.
Yeah, so I have Brother Darnell on the other line, and we're actually talking about, is Christianity the working tools of Freemasonry? I disagree with that because I see it from a different point of view, but he's breaking it down in so many other different ways till I'm like, well, you know, it could be, but I look at it from the standpoint of an ancient customs. And I think that we've allowed those who have taken it to saturate it with their culture. Freemasonry being universal. There are some.
True. I mean that's Well, I don't know if I'm on the air now.
Yeah, you on the air now.
Oh, okay. Well, yes. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly the point. See, Europeans, I'm not going to say stolen, but what I'm going to say is
Used.
they imitated an ancient system that's originated in African culture.
Mm-hmm.
They imitated the system, and obviously, and most of the time when people imitate someone else or they do things through their own cultural paradigm. So Freemasonry is an imitation of an ancient system, and that ancient system is a system that developed in numerous parts of the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when people develop their stuff, they develop within their own cultural paradigm.
Right.
So if we were to call those other ancient cultural paradigms behavior Freemasonry, if we was to identify it, right?
Right.
So we was to go to China and we wanted to see what is China's Freemasonry, you would need to look to Shaolin Temple.
Mm-hmm.
That's China's Freemasonry. If we would go to ancient Africa, where most people look at, and we go to ancient Kemet, that would be obviously ancient Africa's Freemasonry.
Right.
If we were to go to Native Americans, I can't remember what the Native Americans call their shaman and their priest development, but that would be the Native Americans' Freemasonry. So what we are doing and what we deal with an imitation of these ancient systems. Mm-hmm. We deal with imitation of these ancient systems that comes through European culture, and because what Europe is trying to say when they say Freemasonry is universal, they mean that this ancient wisdom, this mystic science is in all parts of the world, but Freemasonry itself does not express that. They say it, but they don't express it.
But how can you say that they say it and don't express it when, based on my own travels, and that's all I have is my own travels. Mm-hmm. I've experienced Freemasonry in everybody's culture, and not in everybody's culture, but in those cultures for which I've gone and visit. Now, here's the thing. You say that, and it's very interesting. What culture does African Americans bring to Freemasonry other than that which was given to them by European? What have
that's what we bring. But first let me speak about going to other areas of the world. Freemasonry, and particularly when we're talking about Christianity in Freemasonry, is Christianity the tool of Freemasonry? You have to look at all of what Freemasonry does, mm-hmm. and how it affects other cultures. Oh my God! I wish I had remembered this website that I looked up, Freemasonry in India. And there was an Indian scholar that spoke about Freemasonry and, mm-hmm. and what was happening in India when Freemasonry got there, when Freemasonry was brought to India. And this scholar talked about how it was at the time a tool for colonization, because the men that got involved in Freemasonry submersed themselves in European culture, because that's what Freemasonry was submersed in. And so, and even though Freemasonry is around the world, and you will see other ethnic groups involved in it, it still expresses itself with European cultures and European culture values. How do you get in India and have a Knights Templar? Where does it not? You know, you don't. If you in India and you a Knights Templar, then what you're doing is you're looking at this ancient universal mystic science through the eyes and the point of view of Europeans, and that's the same thing we do here.
So how do we take this thing we call Freemasonry? How do we take it and make it ours? I mean, across the board. I mean, legitimately speaking, because I say that because some years ago, we was together, my brothers and I was together, and we were saying, okay, so we say that we're ancient, free, and accepted Masons. Let's break this down. So we said, let's break this down. What makes us ancient? What makes us free and accepted? So we started looking at that. So what is ancient about us? Is it the way we practice Freemasonry? What is ancient about us? That we're Black and we come from an ancient society. So we started to dibble and dabble. So what we decided to do after visiting our Hispanic brothers is to change some things in the way we open the Masonic Lodge. Now, granted, yeah, we still have the European base as far as some of the nuances, but the way we open the beginning, we had to change it up to add our flavor, to bring in the things that makes it that brings in our ancestry, the things that encompass who we are as Black people, not African American people, but as Black people, the ancient customs. So what are those ancient customs? And we started to pick and choose, especially after we visited the Hispanic brothers and they was lighting fire and doing some other. We was like, dude, we had to add our own flavor for us so it can be about us.
Right. And even when you look at some of the Hispanic brothers and some of the changes that they made, you might want to try to look at, well, where's those cultural values? Because let me just answer your question and stop going through that. There's a lot of things that you can do, right? And you have to be brave to do it, because when you start making these changes, Freemasonry starts to look a little bit different, because you now are expressing these ancient science, these universal ancient science concepts that are all around the world. You now starting to your goal is to express it through the ways of your ancestors. So the first thing for you to do in order to be able to do that is you gotta first study some of your ancestors, so you'll know what they did, because these concepts are there. These concepts are still in Africa. These concepts are still present, and even some of the ancient societies are still there. And but so you gotta study that. The first step that is very easy for us to do is we can change the language, right?
We could. We already do it anyway. I mean,
right. So Freemasonry, the language of Freemasonry is rooted in European dialects. There's no Chinese password and word. There's no Native American password and word. There's no Indian password and word. And there sure ain't no African, no password and word in no African language. So the words and passwords, and sayings are said in languages that is rooted in European culture. So the first thing to do is to start changing the language. Find out what the two columns mean and how to say it in Swahili, because they got them. The words.
They do. And here's the thing. Here's what I've learned. Now, the way Boaz is spelled out of the Bible, and the way that Chakang is spelled out of the Bible, what I've learned is that that's not necessarily how it's spelled everywhere else.
That's not how it's spelled in the Hebrew language.
So
which is the language that it comes from.
Right.
It's not spelled like that, the Hebrew language. When the way that it is spelled, and you're going to see, and the question becomes why they do that. The way that it is spelled is based in Greek. That's how you will spell it. And the spelling comes if you trace the linguistic lineage of the letters, the way that they're spelled. You will see that it's rooted in Greek language, and it's the Greek version of the Hebrew word.
So, why is it so hard, or what would be so difficult for us to turn that light on? Because I'm going to answer my own question. Two things are happening. Everyone isn't ready. Everyone is not ready to switch that light on. Only a few, okay?
Right.
Only a few are ready to switch that light on.
Right.
And I can only speak for where I'm at. And I noticed that we have made some changes, as I've said before, in the way we practice Freemasonry in the lodge, based on who we are here in America, because we say ancient. So we started to, and we do incorporate what I would say some of the ancient customs, because we have brothers in our lodge say, look, man, if you was actually in a country in Africa, they would actually be doing this. So where's the incense, and where is the myrrh? Where is this stuff?
Where's the frankincense and myrrh?
Right.
Which is an African scent or African herb from Africa. People don't really realize that, but
right. So, and I'm only speaking for what I know on this side of the square, is that we have begun to incorporate that based upon the letterhead that we have taken in to say ancient, free, and accepted. Because talking with other people from various jurisdictions, like I was talking about my experience from the brother talking in Haiti, man, I don't know if I could have been initiated based upon what they do.
Yeah.
And it's not no European style of Freemasonry based upon their initiation system.
Right. It's a mixture. They mix it, European Freemasonry.
Yeah, it's mixed
with Haitian voodoo. That's
there you go.
That's how you say it.
There you go.
Voodoo. That's the white man's language.
Yeah.
They say voodoo, right?
Yeah.
Now, but there's a mixture, because there's a spirit, they call it deity, people, Europeans call them deities, but we don't like to call them that. I ain't saying we, because I'm not initiating anything, but I say we as our people.
I got you.
We don't like to call it that, but there's a deity called Papa Legba. And Papa Legba is he's like the spirit of a more accurate way to say it is the spirit of the ancestral realm.
Okay.
Right? People say the spirit of the dead that gets it. Now, and he kind of the makeup that is put on his face or on the person who presents this energy, it looks like a skeleton, right?
Right. Now
we don't have to be afraid of that, acting like there ain't no skeleton and crossbone symbols in Freemasonry. Right? So we don't need to be trying to pretend like we're afraid of that, but we do, right? And what he does is he smokes a cigar and he has a top hat, almost just like a worshipful master. Now, obviously, that image didn't come from Africa. But Papa Legba, that energy, that spirit does. You go to
that's just like my Hispanic brothers and sisters who practice the Day of the Dead.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. The Day of the Dead in when you go to Mexico, and the Day of the Dead is presented through the belief system of the Catholic faith.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're Catholic that do that.
Mm-hmm.
But that celebration is nowhere in Rome. That celebration ain't in Rome. And so what are they doing? And the cartoon Coco is a really good movie to look at to get an understanding of what that celebration is. And it doesn't match the feeling that you get when it's called the Day of the Dead.
Now, I got a question for you. I got a question for you or brother Stevens. Now, this brother Alex Fitzgerald just posted. He said, ask the callers if the principles of democracy are in Freemasonry. And I'm before you answer the question, is the principles of democracy in Freemasonry? You got to ask yourself, where did this principle of democracy come from? First of all,
that's the best question. That's the best question. But I'll let the other brother answer first, and then I'll respond.
Well, we all been a part. We all voted before, so we know that, you know, fundamentally, sure, the democracy is there. You know, and as Black men, that's actually one of the most beautiful aspects of the lodge is the democracy of it. It's there, and it's wonderful because we haven't. Well, we've seen it perverted, but overall, it's not. It's one of the most beautiful. It operates like sports. You know, democracy in sports is the most beautiful, you know, aspect of democracy that we can see. And we see that in the lodge, and it's wonderful. And for me, it's one of the most beautiful points of the lodge. It's there.
all right, brother Johann Sick.
Well, you know me. I'm always going to take a little bit different approach. I believe that that organizations, principles without behavior is just the philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Principles without behavior is just the philosophy. So how do a group, a society, an organization, how do you know whether the principles that they speak about is actually a part of their organization? That means the actions and the behavior of the people in the organization has to follow those principles. And Freemasonry, they don't. Philosophically, they speak about the ideas of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
But the lodge is not set up to be a democracy, right? The worshipful master word goes, right?
Okay.
And we know that from the edict in South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
So that was not democracy, not by a long shot,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And a lot of that happened. And so democracy philosophically is there, you know, because even though the worshipful master is the final word of his lodge, but he's supposed to govern his lodge with the philosophy and the principles of democracy.
Right.
You know, that's how he's supposed to govern his lodge, you know, and good ones do. You know, and I've met a lot of good ones.
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot of good ones that you know, their lodge functions like clockwork, you know, and it's because everybody that is a part of the lodge trusts him. And
okay.
They trust them that when something is going to be decided upon, that he is going to include everyone, you know, and that's how you're supposed to govern your lodge. Unfortunately,
with equal, what they say with equal, escapes my mind right now. Equality, yeah, with equality. Okay.
Right. You know, you can't have harmony in your lodge dictating, right? You know, so the principles of democracy is spoken in Freemasonry all the time, because the only way that harmony can be the foundation of your lodge is you got to use the principles of democracy. Now, those principles aren't new principles, you know, not by a long shot.
Okay.
You know, you can study like I spoke about earlier. You can study the concepts of life around, you know, from Shaolin Temple, and they don't say democracy, but when you look at it and they talk about the principles and guiding ways of how you should behave, it's a democratic way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can go into the studies of Native Americans, you know, the Choctaw and all of them, and the way that they function and their way of life and their values and their principles. You can see that it's all rooted in behavior and a democracy, a democratic concept. Mm-hmm. You know, in Africa, in the tradition in Nigeria, you know, Ifa, they have something that's called Iwa Pele or Iwa Rere. Mm-hmm. Iwa Pele is gentle character. Iwa Rere is good character.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
You see what I'm saying? And that is the root of that is the root of guiding root of that tradition. Mm-hmm. And so obviously we can talk about Ma'at in ancient Kemet,
right?
Which is justice, righteousness, reciprocity, order, balance, and harmony. So in other words, in the decisions and the things that you do in life, if all of those things aren't covered in your decision making, then your decision isn't a righteous decision.
So in other words, we're looking for a balance. In the Whisper Master job in the lodge, as we talk about, is Christianity a working tool of Freemasonry? You're supposed to be able to find this balance, and once you find the balance, it then makes your lodge, the harmony being the strength of all society, but more especially of ours. You base that upon that. But however, as we was talking earlier, we know that the Bible itself is placed on, if not 99.9% of every Masonic lodge in the United States, be it black or white. Now, what I can say is that the French, we all know that they have decided to remove the Bible from the altar and only leave the compass and square. Now, I don't know personally their reasoning, but I do know, based upon my own readings, that before the Bible was placed there, you only had the compass and square. Now, we also know that England made it a prerequisite that you put the Bible on there if you want to have this social interaction, not social interaction, but this lodge invitation or visitation with them. That was one of their things. But because they chose not to go that way, they severed their ties. And then in like manner, now everybody want to call them clandestine, knowing that the French was probably one of the oldest Masonic jurisdictions around. How can you do that to an organization or try to castrate an organization that is just as old as you? Although they'll have their splits, but that seems odd, because it seems to me that you're trying to say, if it's not my way, then it's no way. This is why you have all of these different varies of masonry and jurisdictions, because one tries to dominate the other one to tell them how you should practice Freemasonry in placing that Bible on the altar. And then you have those that says, no, I don't want it there. This is why in my jurisdiction, we allow a brother to take his obligation upon the Constitution of the lodge, the Quran, or any other books of faith that he chose to or chooses to. We've even had a brother to take his obligation upon the Masonic ritual because he didn't want it. No, I believe in a supreme being, but the Quran and the Bible, can I do? Bruh, it's your obligation. It's between you and that entity, that deity that you chose to say, hey, I'm going to follow my God and I'm not going to fear any danger. Because we often say in the lodge, follow your guide. But I would tell you this, in the old language says to follow your God. Go ahead.
The whole concept, the whole idea. I mean, it's you saying, I'm standing before you in the presence of my God, right? And in order for them to make this statement, then the representation of their God need to be present.
Absolutely.
And in order for this obligation that they're taking to you to have power, it is no different than when you tell someone, or you deal with someone around in court.
Mm-hmm.
Courts make those changes too, because it had to, because too many people was coming in court like, well, I'm not Christian, right? And even those that they even had to change it for people who even didn't believe in a God, and I'll get to that, because they do is a concept that they're rejecting,
right,
and not the reality. But that's another story, another talk.
So check this. Go ahead.
So in order for that obligation to have the strength of trust, that person has to say to you that I am obligating myself to this society and the principles of this society before my God.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to make that, to have the strength, you got to have the thing that represents their God present.
So
and that's why France took the Bible off the altar.
So let's change the script. Let's add to that. When we talk about the Bible, and we said this on the other day, is Adam not a real man? We've already discussed. We've already discussed, is the Bible the working tools of Freemasonry? We've been on that. Now let's have this conversation about Adam being the real man. Is Adam a real man?
I mean, first of all, I don't want to dominate the conversation.
Okay, brother, Darnell, you still there with me?
I'm here.
Okay, so is Adam a real man?
I would again, if we go back to the foundations of what we're dealing with, as a Mason, I'm looking at the Bible as a system of morality veiled in allegory. So as a Mason, I'm going to deal with Adam as the allegory that he is. And when we start breaking that down and we take the universal concept of Adam, that's when we have to start dealing with everywhere that this name has been represented. You got Adam, A-D-A-M. You got Atum, A-T-U-N, which is the creator God. You got Adon, which is, a pharaonic. And that's how we got Adonai. Then you got Atem, which deals with Ra, and when you start getting down to all of these, remember, these people who dealt with this stuff, they dealt with this stuff like for real. And when you start breaking, Adam down if you just break him down in the language of fire, then you have to deal with the three symbols. You got the Aleph. I can't give no visual description, but you got Aleph, Dalet, and you got Mem. That is how you spell Adam in the fire language. And remember, we're talking about the allegory here. And when we deal with the allegory here, Aleph is the box or the one. And then you have Dalet, which is the doorway. And then you have Mem, which is the waters of life. And when you break all that down, remember, all of these things are telling us a story within the story. So when we break down what I just said, Adam is the principal doorway into matter. You see what I'm saying? And when you actually start breaking down the numbers, you got Aleph, which is 1, Dalet, which is 4, and Mem, which is 40, which comes to the 144, which equals the 9, which is human consciousness. And we get into the 144 because all is the mind. And when everything is going away, we will all reign in our divine consciousness, which we we all are when we rip ourselves out of this human shell.
All right there, brother Johansi. What you got?
The thing that I think is important for, we always have to deal with reality as we study. I like what the brother said, because people are confused or get confused around the literalcy. Is that a word? Literalcy?
Yeah, I got you.
Bible, right? Now, is Adam a man? And I'm going to talk about it in the context, right? Because we don't have any documented proof of anyone in the Bible existing, right? There's no Solomon's temple. They can't find Solomon's temple, nor can they find the existence of Solomon. So the question becomes, then what are these stories saying? Just like the brother said,
you almost made my Go ahead.
This is why the Catholic Church went against Freemasonry, right? This is why the Catholic Church went against Freemasonry, because Freemasons weren't necessarily afraid to see religion like this, right? Because the whole system of Freemasonry speaks in allegory and symbolism. Freemasonry does that because that is how the ancient system taught the knowledge of the universe, the mystic science that we all talk about. See, Jesus Christ is not real.
No.
Hold on, bro. Back up, bro. Hold on, bro. Time out. Look, today is Sunday, Saturday. Sunday, Saturday. Bruh, hold on, bruh. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. A lot of people about to lead my chat comment when you said Jesus wasn't real. Bruh. Bruh.
But let me finish. I mean, see, that's interesting. They can accept us saying Adam ain't a real man.
Bruh, they about to lead, bruh. You about to tear up my show.
I don't want to.
Bro, you said Jesus wasn't real, bro. Today is Sunday.
I just want to give you a little bit of light. That's all. That's all I'm trying to do.
Right. And let's flip it.
Hold on. Time out. I got both of y'all going at the same time. Time out. Brother Darnell, go ahead. Say what you're going to say. Hello? Darnell.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
I'll even flip it. Jesus, the concept of Jesus is real all day long. Christ consciousness, we all have it. And,
okay.
If we want to get into some heavy stuff, when the Bible was talking about the 7 days of creation and he was finished, that 7 days is the 7 chakras being created, and everything stops at the pineal gland where our light sits. Our Christ consciousness is there. So from that perspective, Christ is real, but an actual man, that's debatable. And I won't say anything because there's people who really truly believe in that. I did at one time, so I know what that matrix feels like. I know the apologetics and energy that's involved with hearing men like me and Brother Yancey saying what we say. And to those people, we mean no disrespect. We love them. We empathize with them because we know exactly where they are because we were them at one point. So none of this stuff that we say is meant to be disrespectful or any of that. This is the path that, we have ventured on in our spiritual journey, and it's no disrespect meant in any of these things that we say. So just off rip, we don't mean to hurt or harm anybody.
All right.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that too. I'm not in intent to harm anyone, but what I'm saying and what I'm talking about in my desires and my will is to hope to bring them to a way of seeing reality more authentically.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? And if we look at it and see, and I don't even, you know, in staying in the context of this discussion, when I talk about is Jesus being real, you know, when you make Jesus a physical entity, and then you make that physical entity God, you just made the story irrelevant,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the story is about the question becomes they always talk about, oh, God sent his only begotten son, you know, and the idea is for him to be a sacrifice. Well, it was more than a sacrifice because he had to become a worthy sacrifice. And the question becomes is, how did that? The thing is, Jesus is the example. The way the allegory is set up is for you to see Jesus as the example of the person you're supposed to be.
Okay.
And the reason, the rationale for God to send his only begotten son was because he did not see people being in according to the divine law.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus came to show you that you can be human and dealing with this divine law. So now, if you make him God, then now you have an excuse. I'm not Jesus. And it's like, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Oh my God.
That's why Jesus was here in the first place, to show you that you can be him.
Now, the question remains, how many people actually believe that? How many people actually believe that they can be Jesus?
Nobody. I ain't going to say nobody, but very few people believe that. Now, let me say this, all right? Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses believe partially of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you get all things. That's what they believe, right? They don't celebrate Christmas, right? And everybody trip, you know, but if you listen to what they say, it's extremely rational, right? They don't celebrate Christmas because as an example of being righteous,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what Jesus is there for. His birth is irrelevant. And if he was sent here to die, right?
Uh-huh.
Then his death is the only relevant. His birth was not relevant. His life and death is relevant. And they say that Jesus was a human being to show us how we can be righteous and human. And that is why the story of Jesus takes him through all kinds of trials and temptations.
Okay.
Right? Some of them temptations, some of them trials, he didn't. If you read the story, he messed up on some of them, right? But most of his trials and temptations, Mary Magdalene was supposed to be the sexual temptation, right?
Oh, she was fine.
She was fine.
She was fine. She was at the table.
Right. Jesus had to resist that.
Jesus had her at the table. When they take the picture of the 12 disciples, she's at the table. Mary, right. One of them, a female is on his left and a female is on his right.
Right. So all of these things that Jesus is going through are trials and tribulations of life to show you that you can still be righteous.
Mm-hmm.
And this man is you.
Uh-huh.
And you can be that. And when he talked about, you get into the chakras. So now, when he talked about the chakras, he switched the religious cultural paradigm to an Indian culture paradigm, right? But because mystic science is ancient, a lot of cultures have these same concepts and ideas, right? So then he talked about India. And if you deal with the Indian culture and you talk about the chakras and where the chakras are, and then you look at Jesus's life, every temptation represents a chakra that he had to deal with.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You see?
So
and then he gets to the highest chakra, which is the concept of his death.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
This is the one point where I always tell people that there's such a powerful message there at the cross, but I didn't get that message in the church. I didn't get that message until I left and was able to enjoy the real theater of the message. You see what I'm saying? And the real message of Calvary is, think about it. Calvary is, Golgotha, where the crucifixion took place, is called Golgotha, which is the place of the skull.
Right.
Now we all know that Christ represents Christ consciousness. So allegorically, we can see that Christ consciousness is crucified. But where is Christ consciousness crucified? Christ consciousness is crucified between two thieves. But nobody never tells us who those two thieves are, bro. And that is where the magic sauce is. The magic sauce is our Christ consciousness, our divine nature is crucified when it is stuck between regret of the past and the fear of the future. You cannot go forward. You are paralyzed and stuck on that piece of wood.
Now let me now see, these are, now you're getting into what I'm going to say. Now you're getting into real masonry.
Right.
See, this is how masonry is supposed to be taught.
All right.
This is how masonry is supposed to be taught. I just happen to be very lucky at a very early age to meet some brothers that taught me this. But this is how masonry is supposed to be taught. And the idea now, a part of the reason why it's so difficult for it to be taught, like, let me say this. I believe that some of the Europeans of the 1700s, 1600s, 1500s, I believe that they probably very much so knew this and practiced this. You know, and I believe over time, the value of it slowly disappeared.
Do you think the value slowly disappeared because of people that was allowed to come into the organization, or the craft was?
Let me say this, and it's very interesting that I'm going to say this, and I hope we're able to see it. I always ask the question. Okay, let me go back. If you go back in ancient times, we talk about Freemasonry as an ancient system and all that. And so then we go back in the ancient times and we look at people who we identify as Masons, right? The only type of, and I'm speaking in using the Masonic dialect so you can understand what I'm talking about. The only type of Masons that exist in ancient time were operative Masons.
Okay.
There was no such thing as a speculative Mason by himself.
Right.
They were known by their actual work.
So, and when we talk about, particularly us as African Americans, and we talk about, oh, our ancestors built the pyramids, we built mathematics, and we do that. Well, who? Because every last one of our ancestors wasn't in on that, right? So the question is, who is doing that? And the people that are doing that, and you will find that this is consistent in almost every culture, are the priests, the spiritual leaders, are the ones that are doing that. So in ancient times, God, or the understanding of God, and science were together. There was no such thing as, oh, science does this, and oh, spirit or belief or religion does that. That didn't happen in ancient times, because the people that were studying the stars, the people that were studying geometry, the people that were studying language, the people that were studying mathematics were the priests. So now,
no, hold that thought. It's very interesting you would say that, because I'm going to add to that and say that when you, as you said earlier, really begin to practice masonry and you really begin to travel these different degree works above the 3rd degree, there are other auxiliary degrees that are not practiced here in America that are practiced abroad. And I do know one is called the Golden Dawn. So yes, in the Golden Dawn, once you have to have these previous degrees before you get there. I do know that the initiation is held on a mountain. At the end of the initiation process, you are then called a priest, not a priest as in what we would see in church. Is something else. And I'm going to have the brother that actually got initiated in it to actually be on the show. And he broke some things down to me. He said in the end game, you're supposed to be at that level to where you're able to manifest and to do certain things that the average person can't do. Because as Brother Darnell just spoke earlier in regards to the pineal gland, it becomes open and awakening.
Right. And I say that, but I also want to say in saying that is, but the average priest could not do all of those things. You even had to be a special priest. Let me give you an example. One of my favorite pastimes, which is probably a lot of ours when we were young, was watching Kung Fu theater, right? And Gordon Liu was a popular martial artist, actor at the time, and he was the main character in the martial arts movie, The 36th Chamber. And so he wanted to learn martial arts from the Shaolin Temple, and they wouldn't let him in, right? Now here we get to the first Masonic trial, right? They wouldn't let him in. And he wanted the martial arts, and they said, you're not ready. And they shut the door. And then the movie show, like, days go by, and he's still sitting at the door. And they come back, and he talked to them, and he wants to learn martial arts, and they was like, "You're not ready." They shut the door, and he sits there through rain and all of that. And then finally, they come out, and he says, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says something that spoke to a higher thing, and they let him in. And then they asked him, well, where do you want to start? And he said, I want to start at the top. And at the time, in the movie, it was only 35 chambers, and 36 chamber is something else, And so he said, I want to start at the top. And he went and they said, okay. Knowing that he wasn't ready for it, he went to the 35th chamber, because each of these chambers are a level of philosophy and the spiritual training and physical training, right? Each of the chambers, each of the degrees, right? You see. And so he goes to the 35th chamber, and they open the door, and it's a bunch of older priests sitting around. They're not chanting any words. They're just doing they're doing the
om, okay.
Right, and he walks in, and he says something, and you can feel the disruption in the process that they were dealing with.
You can feel the disruption in the harmony.
Right.
Okay.
And he went to do something, and the head priest held out his hand and knocked him back without touching him. Right? And instantaneously, he knew he wasn't ready for that. So he went back, and he had to start from the beginning, from chamber 1, and come all the way up back to the 35th chamber.
Hold on, I was just told that this movie is based on a true story.
It might be. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, go ahead. I was just pointing it out. They somebody chatted in the group. Oh, my mediator pointed out. He said this is a true story. I'm like, okay, all right.
Right. And so all of the priests weren't part of the 35th chamber. You see what I'm saying? All of the priests didn't have that skill.
Okay.
So these concepts and these ideas we're talking about, that the priest can do things that the average person can do. Well, not just a priest. You have to be a priest at a certain level, right? And that's one of the things that we have to understand when we start looking at these systems and start saying, oh, they could do whatever. Well, you have to study the system itself. It takes years of learning. That's the next thing that you will see in mystic science teachings. If you look at mystic science teachings from whatever culture, if we see a movie, whatever culture, the people that are in the highest position are old as hell. You're not going to see no 30-something-year-old person in the highest position in that mystic science system, because a part of your learning is you experiencing life.
True.
And there's certain lessons and certain values and understandings that you get, not just from somebody saying something to you. You get it from your day-to-day experience.
It's funny you say that, because Brother Calvin Ricks, God bless his soul, he used to say this all the time in a lodge meeting. You haven't lived my age yet. I've been your age. And he was, I think Brother Ricks was about 92 when he passed away. Whenever a youngster would come into a lodge and he would begin to express himself, I know this and I know that, he would just sit back in his chair. He said, well, you haven't lived my age yet. I was like, oh, snap.
Right. And that's the whole thing, right? I remember when I was in Tuskegee, and back when I was going to Tuskegee, I was still very much so associated with Dr. Ben and all of that. And I was in a car with a couple of friends of mine they were also Prince Hall Masons. So we were sitting in, and he was talking about being a Knights Templar, and I think he said 32nd, and I was sitting up there, and now I'm the oldest person in the car, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I'm like, how the hell you get a 32nd degree? And he was like, I said, you're too young to have a 32nd degree. And he was like, what does that mean? I mean, and I said, you haven't lived life long enough to be at the top of this system. I was like, you just don't live. I was like, dog, you still chasing around women trying to get as much coochie as you can. I was like, dog, you ain't got no business at no 32nd degree. And we were talking, but that's another thing, that's the flaw. If Freemasonry wants to at least come close to the ancient system, what we need to do is we need to combine Freemasonry and the educational system together.
I agree. Now, it's funny you say that, because when I spent 20 years in the Navy, and one of my jobs, I was a religious program specialist. And during that job, I got a chance to see how these organizations that we look at, how they function for real. And one of the things that blew me away was, I had to have a decent knowledge of Catholicism, and I thought I knew some stuff. Now, let me tell you something. We were in Iraq, and I was setting up a mass for a particular priest at that time. And his altar cloth had, like, y'all know what a reed looked like in a clarinet or a saxophone, right?
Right.
It looked like that was embedded in the altar cloth. And I was like, oh, man, I'm thinking it was some wax or something like that. So I'm thinking I got to get that out. And I'm looking at the priest. He's laughing at me as I
wipe it, huh?
What's going on? And he's like, hey, I said, when you found my relic? I said, what are you talking about? He said, come here, we need to talk. I sat down and talked to him, and I brought the altar cloth down. He said, this, what you're feeling is not wax. It's the bone of Saint such and such. And I was like, what? He said, man, before any mass can take place, there has to be a piece of a dead body on the altar, or else that mass ain't legit. Breaking down the fact that necromancy is the foundational principle of Catholicism.
That's, well, you know what? To say that, now you do know in most churches on the first Sunday, they are breaking the bread, eating the body, and drinking the blood.
Right, it's cannibalism.
Right.
You know.
All this, right, and all this symbolism, and then these people who have that symbolism, right, will turn around and have an issue with some people from Haiti with this person, with this skull face looking face. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, the whole concept of this drinking the blood or blood being a part of rituals is nothing new. We can look at it and there could be some issues with that principle or that idea in general, and then there's some concepts that you may understand it. Right. Now, a part of that is like you get into old ancient customs, and if you really, all right, I'm getting ready to give y'all some secret knowledge now, so don't y'all tell nobody. You get into a lot of these initiatory processes, and almost all initiatory processes, almost of all ancient systems, requires blood. The question becomes, well, why? And what initiatory experiences are and symbolically is representing. It's always representing the birthing process. And in the experience of giving birth, every woman passes blood before that child is born, right? Before that new life comes to existence. And that is why God told the Hebrews to put the blood on their door before the plagues. That is why the concept of Jesus's blood being a part of the ritual, because to birth yourself into a new life, you got to come through the blood.
Well,
you see, now human beings are human beings, and so we can always, an ancient African tradition comes from the Congos. They believe that everything that is done can be done negatively or positively. Everything that is done can have a...
Well, I lost this call, but go ahead. I think he was saying that everything that can be done on a negative or positive energy. And if you look at Freemasonry, it's the same thing applies. It just depends on the individual who's in the lodge. Brother Debo Teller said some time ago that just because...
I'm sorry, y'all.
That's okay. I was kind of piggybacking off of what you said, because Brother Debo Teller said the same thing not long ago. He said you could bring a brother in the lodge. You can amplify the things that he's already doing, or you can change it to a positive thing. If a brother comes into the lodge, he's already doing a whole lot of mess. You can amplify the whole lot of mess that he's doing.
Right.
Or you can tone that down.
Right. And that's interesting, right? Because that's what I say, like the Masonic saying, we take good men and make them better. I never did like that saying. Not that is a bad thing. I'm like, we should be able to take any man and make him better.
Well, no, I'm gonna share this with you. My Imperial Potentate Donald's Brother Smith said this. He said you said we take good men and make them better. We want good men to be better, something like that. He said he told us switch the thing around, which made a lot of. So how can you take a good man and make him better?
That's a much stronger and better saying.
You know, how can he's already good? You know, we're gonna teach the good man how to be a mason. There you go. We teach good men how to be masons. That's what he said. So, we make good men. We make good men. No, we teach good men how to be masons. First of all, they're not masons. They're already good men. So we take good men and teach them how to be masons. Yeah. So, but go ahead. I totally took you off your point.
Yeah, that's all right. You know, and so all of this, you know, and when we talk about all of this, these concepts that we're dealing with comes out of ancient practices and ancient traditions, and we just need to really study ancient traditions. We really need to study them. You know, Freemasonry is more than the Knights Templars. You know, Freemasonry is more than I'm going to say more than the Hebrews. Mm-hmm. You know, Freemasonry is more than Christianity. You know, we know them through those perspectives because of the people that were imitating those ancient systems. You know, and that's what they were. But Freemasonry, the concepts of Freemasonry goes way beyond that. You know, and we have to really study those societies. And getting back to what you were talking about earlier, Brother Muhammad, but if we can't be afraid or think we're missing out on something, if we redo or recreate our own system rooted in our own culture's mystic science, you know, and we have to do that. And what that will do, actually, that will bring Freemasonry more holistic or universal, as it says it is. Because then, if anyone wants to relate with you, wants to be in amity with you, then when they're in your lives, they're going to have to deal with how your culture does things.
Well, here's the thing. That sounds great. It really does. But we have been so submersed in European, in the thinking of European thought until this thing is going to take years for us to come out, unless those of us who already practice a concept of adding our own flavor, our own ancestry and indoctrination into Freemasonry. It's going to take years. And a lot of us is not ready for that because we're too busy wanting someone else to say, we like you. Right, so it's going to take...
And that's the downfall. And but that's what it's going to do. It's going to take those of us. It's going to take those of us that are that are willing and that can see to do it. You know, it's going to take those of us to do it, and we're going to have to do it with the flavor and the energy that everyone else do what they do. You know, like another example. I mean, and you be shocked at the little things that can be done that starts to give your cultural context to this whole idea of these mystic secret societies, right? You know, another little thing that you can do is you can decide to wear something different, right?
That is true.
You can decide you don't have to wear a jacket and white shirt and black tie and black pants. And the worshipful master don't have to wear a top hat. See, all of these are European cultural paradigms. You know,
well, the process is
the
thing is how do you change the matrix? How do we change the matrix? And some of us are going to want to do that. But once again, some of us are so immersed, it's going to be difficult. And they're going to look at you differently. You know, how can you say you're this and you're that? You know, it's just, oh man, this can run deep. But look, we've been on here for about 1:45. I appreciate everybody. Man, this has been one of those topics you don't really want to let go of. So I'm gonna let you brothers go ahead and close out. Give me your last words of whatever you want to say. It's on you. So go ahead, brother Johansi.
Okay. Yeah, you know, so I just, you know, and I want to say that if we believe that Freemasonry is universal, then please look and study other people's cultures. Look for the other people's mystic science, because that's where you're going to start to learn a lot about what real Freemasonry is and what those concepts that is being taught in Freemasonry really means.
All right, Brother Darnell.
I'll go out using the symbology of Jesus. Think about this, bro. Jesus, they referred to him as a rabbi, but when you're familiar with the story, you know he wasn't a Pharisees or a Sadducees. Yeah, at the same time, he was flipping tables, he was performing miracles, he was doing all this other stuff, and he didn't give a fuck. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, Masonically, it's time to flip the tables. You know what I'm saying? It's time to be that quote unquote rebel and do these things that we've been kind of thinking about. Come on, man. We all remember when we was young Masons and we was looking around. You know what I'm saying? Now we the old young guys. You know what I'm saying? Unless we pick on the persona of the old guys, which here we, you know, the fruit that we haven't. So now it's time to go ahead and flip the tables, bro.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm looking in the chat, and some people are asking, can there be a part 2 to this? And Slim Daddy number 9, yes, there could be a part 2. If you want to partake in that, we definitely can do it. And I don't know, what time do the Super Bowl game come on today?
I don't even know.
Neither do I.
I don't even know either.
You know, but definitely there could be a part 2 to this today, because I'm just that guy. I feel up to it today, and I don't mind doing a part 2 today. So let's see what we can make happen later on. I don't know what time the game starts. Maybe it's 10:32. Go ahead.
Next time we do a part 2, what I will do is I will even talk about some of the ancient rites and rituals that I've already started to write.
Okay. Slim Daddy 9, I'm going to give you a call as soon as the show concludes. Is that all right with you? Super Bowl is at 6 p.m. That's 6 p.m. That's 6 p.m. I think. I want to say West Coast time. So, but look, I'm gonna get ready to go. I hear this phone keep charming, letting me know that it's getting low. But look, everybody, I appreciate you. Yeah, we're gonna do a back-to-back show today. So I'll definitely be coming back on today. The Super Bowl starts at 6 p.m. and about 12 o'clock. What time it is where you at, Brother Johansi?
It's 1:33 now.
1:33. Let's say 3 o'clock East Coast time, which will give which will be about 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock my time.
Okay.
We're gonna come back on.
All right.
We're gonna come back on today. All right?
All right.
Oh yeah. So look, everybody take care. If you want to make a donation to this program, please hit the money sign button at the bottom and make a donation, 5, 10, whatever you want to make, because this is what we're doing. I'm going to let you go. You see this? This is what we're going to be sending out to as a gift today. And I'm going to let you know how we're going to do that on the next show today. This is a gift. This is the Masonic. I think every brother should have one of these. That's just my own personal opinion. And this is not cheaply made. It's just like your own passport. I got too much sunlight. There you go. But it's nice. I can say that. I have one myself. So look, I look forward to seeing you back today, later on. And look, whatever you do, the higher you climb, the clearer the vision. Keep your light on and stay out the bushes. I'm out. Thanks everybody for coming in. Peace. Thank you, and I appreciate you.